in common. What were they famous for not using in their writing?
Boggs, Kentucky Country Day.
Capital letters and punctuation.
Capital letters. I'll take that. The very first one for 10. Here's your 25. Last September, it became the 8th nation after the USSR, the U.S., France, Japan, Britain, China, and India, to launch its own satellite. For this 25, which nation is this which sent up its OFEC 1?
Israel.
Yes, for 25 points. 20 coming. Toss up. Lavoisier incorrectly defined it as any compound that contained oxygen. Later, and more accurate definition.
Chandramauli, Waggener.
Organic.
5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Kentucky Country Day. Lavoisier incorrectly defined it as any compound that contained oxygen. Later and more accurate definitions of it include the Brownsted, Lowry, and the Lewis. What?
Dick Steen, Kentucky Country Day.
An acid.
Yes, you could have waited for the whole question, but that's correct. That's 10. Here's your 20. Scientists calculate that if life had not appeared on Earth, our atmosphere would now consist almost completely of 2 triatomic compounds, which would keep the Earth in a nice toasty 600 degrees. Name this 2 common compounds.
Carbon dioxide.
Yes?
Water.
Yes, for 20 points. Another 20. Toss-up. Teams. In 1988, the Federal Aviation Administration, taking a cue from professional athletic teams, retired its first airplane registration number, N16020. That was the number of a plane which disappeared over the Pacific in July of 1937. What was the famous pilot's name?
Sparks, Waggener.
Amelia Earhart.
Yes, sir, for 10 points. Here's your 20. Flowing between Manchuria and North Korea, this river was the focus of international attention in 1950. In that year, Chinese troops streamed across it to enter the Korean War. Give me the 4-letter name of this river. Yalu. The Yalu River, Y-A-L-U. No points. 20 on the way. Teams from the 12th century to 1809, it was part of the Swedish Empire. From 1809 to 1917, it was an autonomous Grand Duchy of the Tsar of Russia. Since 1919, it has been independent.
Dick Steen, Kentucky Country Day.
Poland.
That's a 5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Waggener. From the 12th century to 1809, it was part of the Swedish Empire. From 1809 to 1917, it was a non-autonomous Grand Duchy of the Tsar of Russia. Since 1919, it has been independent. Name this 5th largest nation in Europe.
Brigade, Waggener.
Finland.
Yes, sir. Finland for 10. 20 points are going to be yours. First U.S. Secretary of State, first U.S. Minister of Great Britain, second Vice President, and third President. For 10 apiece, which position was not held by Thomas Jefferson?
Vice President.
I needed First Minister of Great Britain, or to Great Britain. Which president was the first U.S. Minister to Great Britain?
John Adams.
Yes, half right. 10 on the 20. Shooting at a 20, toss up. André Lenotre is generally considered the first great landscape architect because of the immense formal gardens and parks he created between 1661 and...
Cherry and Kentucky Country Day.
The gardens at Versailles.
Versailles is correct, and that's for 10. This is for 20. 10 apiece. Simply tell me which in the following trios of lands is most populous, is the most populous of the 3. People's Republic of China, Europe, or the 2 Americas combined?
China.
Yes. Number 2, India, Europe, or the 2 Americas combined?
India.
You've made 20 points. Excellent. 20 coming. This 10 will get you there. How it was made is a big mystery as ever, but scientists using carbon-14 dating now know that it was made in the 14th century rather than in...
Abbott, Waggener.
The Shroud of Turin.
Shroud of Turin for 10. Here's your 20. Roland Stewart is a born-again Christian whose life work consists of traveling to any and all nationally televised sporting or political events where, before the cameras, he holds up a sign bearing a name and 2 numbers. What's the name and the numbers?
John 3:13.
I will give you, was there half on that? It was a total. John 3:16. Sorry, no points. 20 on the way. Toss up. Teams during the latter part of the 18th century and the early 19th century, tens of thousands of immigrants settled in Kentucky, even if for just a short time. There were two major routes they used from the east. Name them for me.
Regate, Wagner.
The Cumberland Gap and the Ohio River.
Yes, sir, for 10 points. Beautiful. Here's your 20, 10 each on this one. Of Fidel Castro, Humphrey Bogart, Jerry Lewis, Howard Cosell, Mario Andretti, Julia Child, and Colonel Harlan Sanders, which two were, or at least less than 6 feet tall? What a question, huh? Answer.
Sanders and Castro.
Humphrey Bogart and Mario Andretti. Really a deep question there. Put that one in the Hall of Fame. 30 coming. Toss up for 10. We'll get you there. Teams, the most popular television program in both the white and black communities of South Africa is a show about a middle-class black family. Name this sitcom about the
Regate, Wagner.
Cosby Show.
Cosby Show, the Huxtables. Yes, for 10. Here's your 30. Of the hundreds of magazines devoted to business and money-making, three make over 100 million a year for themselves. For 10 each, name these three richest business magazines.
Fortune, money.
Fortune.
All right?
Money.
No, one more.
Business Week.
That's two. You got two right. Forbes was the other. So that's Business Week, Forbes, and Fortune. You got 20 points on the 30. Shooting at a 25-pointer. Here's your toss-up for 10. Teams, Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean, and Hispaniola is second. Which island devastated?
Bennett, Kentucky Country
Puerto
Day.
Rico.
It's a 5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Wagner. Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean. Hispaniola is the second. Which island devastated by Hurricane Gilbert is the third?
Sparks, Wagner.
Jamaica.
Jamaica for 10. Here's your 25. The vast majority of elements in the periodic table have names ending in M or N. Only 8 have names ending in a vowel. 5 apiece. Name any 5 of these 8. Go slowly for me.
Niobia.
Niobia.
No.
No. Judge. Chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine, mercury, manganese, antimony. No points on the 25. 30 coming. Toss up. Teams, this word does double duty designating two very different types of headwear. The beehive-shaped triple crown worn by a pope and a semicircular...
Abbott, Wagner.
Miter.
No, it's a 5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Kentucky Country Day. This word does double duty designating two very different types of headwear. The beehive-shaped triple crown worn by the Pope and a semicircular bejeweled headband worn by royalty or beauty pageant winners. What's this 5-letter?
Bennett, Kentucky Country Day.
Tiara.
Tiara for 10. Yes, indeed. 30 coming. I'm going to give you 3 clues regarding a famous Kentuckian. You'll earn 30 points if you name him after the first, 20 after the second, 10 after the third. Number 1, he was born in 1787 and died in 1863 while the Civil War he had tried so hard to avert with his compromise still raged.
Henry Clay.
Nope. Number 2, he served in both the Kentucky and U.S. Congresses. In 1848, he was elected the final Whig governor of Kentucky. Both William Henry Harrison and Millard Fillmore appointed him U.S. Attorney General.
Breckinridge.
Number 3, for 10 points, a western Kentucky county with the county seat of Marion was named in his honor when it was established in 1842.
Knox.
John Jordan Crittenden. Crittenden, no points. 30 on the way. Toss up for 10. Teams, he was the Wall Street... Teams, we will stop there. Look at the score at the half. We're 95-80. In just a minute, we'll take time out to talk to our individual team members. For the future. Teams whistle starts our second half. The score 95-80. Kentucky Country Day ahead by just a little bit. Now remember, the next time the whistle blows, the game is over. If it blows while I'm asking a question, I simply stop. If it blows while you're answering, you're permitted to answer that one question or portion of that question and no more. All right, shooting at a 30. Toss up for 10. Teams, he was the Wall Street Journal's first editor and the creator of the first index of U.S. stock prices, an index still named in part...
Bennett, Kentucky Country Day.
Jones.
5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Waggener. He was Wall Street Journal's first editor and creator of the first index of U.S. stock prices, an index still named in part for him. Okay, who is he?
Chandramali, Wagner.
Dow Jones.
No, it's Henry Dow. Charles Henry Dow. No points. 30 coming. Toss-up. Teams Dmitry, Ivan, Alexei bore the Honorable Patronomic Fyodorovich. The honor denied to the illegitimate Smerdyakov. What was the last name of these brothers created by Dostoevsky?
Cherry and Kentucky Country Day.
Karamazov.
Yes, Karamazov for 10. Very good. Here's your 30. Major League Baseball saw no perfect games pitched in the 1970s, but 3 so far in the 80s. 10 apiece. Name the Cleveland, California, and Cincinnati pitchers who have hurled these perfect games. Lynn Barker, Mike Witt, and Tom Browning. No points on the 30. 20 on the way. Here's your 10 teams. His book, Epidemics, contains perhaps his most valuable advice. The rule is, be helpful to the patient. At any rate, do not harm him or her. Who is this 5th and 4th century BC Greek?
Chandramali, Waggener.
Hippocrates?
Yes, sir. Hippocrates. That's for 10. This is for 20. In 1902, while on a Mississippi bear hunt, his guide arranged to have a small bear tied to a tree so that the famous hunter could shoot it. The hunter refused, and so inspired a famous toy. Number 1, name this person.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes. Who wrote a famous short story, The Bear, about another Mississippi bear hunt?
William Faulkner.
Certainly did, for 20 big points. Looking for a 30. 10 will get you there. Teams, he was a highly paid commercial spokesman for Japan's Kyoto Oil Company, the Finnish Dairy Association, Italy's Diadora Sportswear.
Chandramali, Waggener.
Ben Johnson.
Yes, Ben Johnson. Here's your 30. Give me the 4-letter word after the first definition for 30 points. For the second, I'll give you 20. For the third, I'll give you 10. Now a state in western Brazil. It was an independent nation from 1899 to 1903. An Israeli city north of Haifa. It was an old Crusader capital.
Jerusalem.
As a unit of measure, it is .40468 hectares.
Acre.
Yes, acre for 10 points. 30 on the way. For 10 teams, tell me, last September it won 20 seats in Sweden's parliamentary elections, becoming the first new party to enter the parliament in over 70 years. For 10 points, name this rapidly growing.
Chandramali, Waggener.
Communist Party?
That's a 5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Kentucky Country Day. Last September, it won 20 seats in Sweden's parliamentary elections, becoming the first new party to enter parliament in over 70 years. Name this rapidly growing multinational environmental party.
Cherry and Kentucky Country Day.
The Green Party.
Yes, the Greens, Die Grünen, Green Party for 10. Here's your 30. In 1930, fully 1/3 of all Soviet exports to the U.S. were brought by one man, Andrew Mellon, who purchased over $6 million in paintings from the leading Soviet museum for a leading American museum founded and funded by his family. Name these 2 museums. The one from and the one to.
The Hermitage.
Hermitage.
Yes.
Americans.
Metropolitan.
I needed the National Gallery of Art for the second one. I'm going to give you 15 on the 30. 20 on the way. Toss up. Teams motorboats equipped with state-of-the-art sonar equipment swept its 24-mile length last year in order...
Regate, Waggener.
Loch Ness.
Loch Ness, looking for the monster, yes. Here's your 20. When the Anglo-Saxons invaded Britain, many of the native Celts escaped across the Channel, where they maintained their own nation until 1532, when they were finally annexed by France. Name this ancient region.
Normandy.
I need Britannia. Brittany or Britannia, yeah, no points. Teams going for a 20, toss up for 10. Located in Jefferson County, Kentucky, this house was built about 1790 by William
Bennett, Kentucky Country Day.
Locust Grove.
Good. Anticipation, yes. Here's your 20. 10 each. Identify these corporate patrons of rock music. As a part of its UBU ad campaign, it's spending $10 million to underwrite
Reebok.
the... All right. Number 2, it promotes Whitney Houston in its TV commercials and co-sponsors the 1988 TV special Live, the Hard Rock Cafe.
Diet Coke.
Yes, for 20 points. 20 on the way. Toss up for 10. Teams appointed ambassador to the United States in 1943 and delegate to the UN in 1946. He was Soviet foreign minister from 19...
Dickstein, Kentucky Country Day.
Gromyka?
Yes, sir, for 10 points. Here's your 20. In a strange political alliance, the ACLU has joined with the John Birch Society, and the National Organization of Women has joined with Phyllis Schlafly to oppose an idea endorsed by the Reagan administration in 32 state legislatures. What is it and that hasn't occurred since 1787 that is being proposed?
A new amendment to the Constitution about abortion, banning abortion.
No, I needed a new constitutional convention. That's what I needed. No points. 20 on the way. Toss up. Joan of Arc led French troops to victories in what long war?
Regate, Wagner.
800 Years' War.
Yes, sir, for 10. Here's your 20. They both translate as soft art in Japanese, but are rather hard on their practitioners, particularly the losers. 10 points each. Name these two related forms of weaponless self-defense.
Aikido.
I need two.
Judo.
Judo is one, and jiu-jitsu is listed as the second. One right, 10 points on the 20. 25 coming. Toss up for 10. He wasn't dead after all. He was just playing possum, as Neil Sternneck and Larry Doyle have proven. For 10 points, name this recently resurrected comic.
Abbott, Wagner.
Pogo.
Pogo. Yes, for 10. Here's your 25. Britain's Prince Philip is a very observant Anglican, which, considering that his wife is head of the church, is a rather good thing. Prince Philip was not, however, born or raised as an Anglican. What was his childhood religion?
Catholic.
Greek Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox. No points. 30 on the way. Toss-up. Team, its Manhattan headquarters was designed by...
Regate, Wagner.
The PLO.
5-point penalty. I'll read the question for Kentucky Country Day. Its Manhattan headquarters was designed by Eero Saarinen as a ultimate minimalist statement. Name this broadcast network whose black marble monolith is widely known as Black Rock.
Bennett, Kentucky Country Day.
CBS.
Yes, CBS for 10. Here's your 30. 4 professional philosophers have been named as winners of the Nobel Prize for Literature. Name any 3 of them for me.
Sartre.
Yes. I needed Rudolf Eucken, Henri Bergson, Bertrand Russell, Jean-Paul Sartre was right. You got 10 points on the 30. 25 on the way. Toss-up for 10. Teams Canis Major and Canis Minor are called the dog constellations. In mythic astronomy, they are identified as the hounds of a nearby celestial hunter.
Sparks, Wagner.
Orion for 10. Yes, sir. 25. On November 16, 1776, a brigantine flying the flag of the Continental Congress was given an 11-gun salute by the fort guarding the Caribbean island of St. Eustatius. This first tacit diplomatic recognition of the United States was granted by which European nation?
France.
Holland or Netherlands is what I needed on that one. 30 on the way. Toss-up. It's an organic substance produced by a now extinct species of pine tree and is peculiarly abundant along the shore of the Baltic. Name this semi-precious form of fossilized...
Regate, Wagner.
Amber.
Amber. Yes, for 10. For 30, physicists come in all types, 15 each. What 17th century physicist said that if he could see further than others, it would be because he stood on the shoulders of giants?
Anton von Leeuwenhoek.
Sir Isaac Newton. Number 2, what 20th century physicist and quark theorist said if he could see farther than others, it was because he was surrounded by pygmies?
Planck.
Murray Gell-Mann on that one. No points on the 30. 25 coming. Toss up for 10. Teams, its much-touted tank corps met with humiliating defeat in late 1987.
16, Kentucky Country Day.
The Soviet Union.
5-point penalty. I'll repeat the question for Wagner. Its much-touted tank corps met with humiliating defeat in the late 1987 at the hands of all things Toyota pickup trucks loaded with anti-tank missiles.
Regate, Wagner.
The Libyan Army.
We'll take it. Libyan, yes, for 10. For 25, the tradition of televised presidential debates goes back only to 1960. First, for number 1, for 5 points each, what were the only 3 election years since 1960 which without such debates? No debates in the 3 years. Which were they?
1970.
1970.
No.
It wasn't an election year.
Time is up.
1968.
Judge says time is up.
Yes,
64, 68, and 72. For 10 points, who was the only third-party candidate to participate in such a debate?
No,
It's a bonus.
John Anderson.
Yes. for 10 points. Team, time is up. Our game is over. We'll check the final score and announce today's winner right after this. D5, Waggener, congratulations. Round 2 continues next week as Trinity takes on Ballard. That's next Sunday at 10:30 in the morning for the fast-moving question-and-answer game High Q. I'm Chuck Castile. Good day.
In each round of High Q, including any finals and semifinals, Spalding will offer a scholarship of $1,000 and $500 respectively to the schools represented by the winning and runner-up teams. Each school may then award the accumulated scholarships to students planning to attend Spalding, with first preference going to members of the High Q team. Questions used on High Q have been researched and authenticated by the editorial staff of High School Bowl Incorporated and High Q judge Jim Holmberg of the Filson Club of Louisville. High Q is brought to you each week by Ashland Oil. Ashland's America, where quality education is an investment we've got to make.
LA Gear salutes Korea.